Let me show you how to take your brows from this
to this.
I always do my brows at home. I do not trust anybody to my brows. I'm super particular with their shape and fullness. I'm going to show you a quick guide on how I do them at home, and I'm going to break down all of the steps and my thought process behind the whole tweezing process.
So one tip I have for you if you're starting to do your brows at home and don't know where to get started, I recommend you shape your brows and fill them in if they're sparse so you can get an idea for the shape you want your brows to be, and then you'll just tweeze around it. So what I like to use for this is the Brow Texture by Ellie. She has gorgeous brow products. With this brow texture, it's like a firm, waxy gel. And I like to shape my brows the way I would style them every day when I do my makeup, so I know how I want them to look. Something like this. I like to brush them up so that when I'm trimming, I trim just the right amount. Okay, so that's with the brow texture on. I'm not gonna fill my brows in because they're already pretty full and I know the shape because I'm used to doing my brows. So once the brow texture is on, I'm gonna go in and do a light trimming of my brow hairs. I like to do this before I tweeze, just so I don't over tweeze. So I will go in and just trim any hairs that are sticking out a little too much for my liking. Okay, so I'm happy with that. So you can see the difference between this one and this one. This has more spiky hair sticking out, and this one's more of a clean brow. Okay, so I'm happy with that. I'm not gonna trim any more than that. Now for the more intimidating part, which is tweezing. So in terms of the shape, I always follow this 3-step rule. Using this pencil as a guide, if you take it on the side of your nose, that's where your brow should begin. And if you line it with the edge of your nose and your iris, that's where your arch should be. And then if you line it with the edge of your nose and the corner of your eye, that's where your brow should end. So that is a facial symmetry rule you should apply when shaping your brows. I already have the angle all squared away because I do my brows every week at home. I'm just gonna go in and tweeze the stray hairs growing in. So now when I get to the front of my brow, it gets a little tricky because I like to have a straight line instead of a little dip. And I like to make sure that the 2 lines on my 2 brows are symmetrical. One trick I like to do is raise my brows because it gives you a better idea. What you can do for this step is imagine where you would apply concealer to clean up the shape of your brow, and just imagine what that concealer would cover up, and those are the hairs you're gonna tweeze. For me, get those. Those 2 hairs made such a big difference. And I think here, that's good. I'm gonna clean up the top of the brow. My general rule that I made for myself is if I have to think about plucking the hair, don't pluck it, because that one hair could make such a huge difference in the shape of your brow. It could really make or break your brow shape. So if you have to think about it, leave it alone, address it next time. Huge difference from when I started and versus this one that I haven't really tweezed yet. I'm going to be following the same rules. Like I mentioned before, I don't like the little dip at the front of my brow. So just comparing these 2, I do want to clean up the hairs here. And again, imagine where you would apply concealer to conceal those hairs. And just those are the ones you're gonna wanna tweeze. Much more symmetrical. Always remember, eyebrows are sisters, not twins. So it's okay if they're not super identical. You'll get my unibrow and make sure I'm keeping in mind any hairs from the side of my nose onward, I'm keeping. So I'm not gonna touch these little fluffy mini hairs here. I'm just tweezing what's in the center of my unibrow. So a perfect example of if you have to think about it, leave it alone. I'm questioning these 2 or 3 hairs here, but I just don't know. Like when I step back, it looks okay. Up close, it bothers me. So I'm thinking about it, I'm gonna leave it be. I'll trim it or tweeze it next time I'm ready to do my brows again. Also brings me to another tip. Always remember to take a step back, because sometimes when you're so up close, you get focused on so many little details. Take a step back, look at your overall brow, and then continue tweezing. I think that's a really helpful tip. I'm gonna leave the tweezing and trimming there. So just to show you how they look filled in, I'm gonna do a quick fill in. My rare brow pencil, and I just like to fill in the sparse areas, which for me is by my arch and my tail. And what I love about Ellie's brow texture is you could still kind of comb through your brows after, and they don't get like crusty or white. Such a beautiful product. So I'm just gonna reshape my brows. They did move around a little bit during the tweezing process. I'm gonna show you what they look like, just a little cleaned up under the brow bone using the YSL touche eclat. This will also help me see what I plan on tweezing next time around. So in terms of this hair, I think by next brow appointment, I can tweeze that one and I'll be happy with it. And taking this flat brush, just to spread that concealer around, pat it in with my finger. So that is my easy guide on tweezing your brows at home. Summary of the rules are, if you have to think about the brow hair, leave it till next time. Always take a step back, look at the overall brow, don't get caught up in the details, and then be sure to follow the whole angle rule. It's really that simple. Anyone can do their brows at home and have a professional result. Give these tips a try and let me know how they worked out for you.